Hello everyone and welcome to SkillCapped. I'm Notorious Dub and today I'm going to be talking about the most popular and most liked weapon in all of Valorant, the Vandal. Now since the beginning of the beta, the Vandal and the Phantom have swapped back and forth into the meta and back out over and over again, proving that both guns are very strong and it comes down to personal preference. But honestly, preference is the wrong word. It's more about personal playstyle, because using the Vandal how the Vandal is meant to be used and using the Phantom how the Phantom is meant to be used is the key to making both of the weapons excel at their respective roles. Which is why today I'm going to be going extremely in-depth covering the Vandal and the mechanics and tactics you need to be implementing to make the Vandal so effective, all by analyzing pro players like TenZ to give even more insight to show you exactly how you need to be using the Vandal to boost those kills per game and increase that win percentage. But as always, before we get too deep into the video, we have to go over our question of the day. And today I want to ask you guys, how do you feel about KO in the meta right now? Personally, I think there's no denying that KO is a strong agent by any means. I'm just not sure how well he fits into a team comp in ranked. Now in pro play with coordination, I'm sure he's going to be used, but in ranked it seems like you're always going to need, or at least have, 2 duelists, a Sentinel, smokes, and a Sova, except for on split maybe. But aside from split, I think every position is pretty much vital depending on the map, and I'm just not sure you can substitute anyone out to make room for a KO, because to get real effectiveness out of his kit, you need a good bit of team play to make it work. But I'm sure you guys have a ton of different opinions than me on this, which is exactly why I want to hear from you. So let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about KO in the current meta? Alright, now let's get down into the details, and first off we're going to compare the Phantom and the Vandal by the numbers, because they are each other's competition, and it's important to know. So let's start off with the base level pros and cons. So the Phantom has a 30 round magazine, which is 5 more bullets than the Vandal. It also has a suppressor, which makes it where the gun can't be heard at certain ranges, and it also has no bullet tracers, meaning it's much more difficult to tell where you're being shot from, and more difficult to shoot back at enemies through smokes. The Phantom also has significantly higher fire rate, which means spray transfers and close range multi-kills are easier, and a slightly easier to control recoil pattern. The Vandal on the other hand has no damage drop-off range, so it will consistently one-shot enemies to the head from any range. And it also does 4 shots to the body as well from any range. Which means with these pros and cons, the Phantom has a ton of niche benefits that adds to the usefulness, but in pure firefight potential, the Vandal should take the cake in 1v1s especially when you look at that time to kill. So let's assume the enemy has 150 health and you're hitting all body shots. At closer than 15 meters, the Phantom is going to come out ahead with a 0.27 second time to kill, while the Vandal has a 0.31 second time to kill, meaning the Vandal is 0.04 seconds slower. Now compare that tiny margin to the time to kill at distances further than 15 meters, where the Vandal stands strong with its 0.31 second time to kill, and the Phantom now drops to a 0.36 second time to kill, meaning the Phantom has a 0.05 second slower time to kill. And these numbers may seem minimal, but let me add to it. Whenever you take into account that most of your fights, especially on defense, are going to take place past those 15 meters, and with the Phantom you also have to hit an extra bullet, the Vandal is going to win out heavily because of these two. So having to hit that extra bullet is the real kicker, because it not only means your time to kill is going to be higher, your accuracy also has to be higher to even come close to matching a Vandal. So in essence, in most of your firefights you have to perform better with the Phantom than you would the Vandal, only to still come out slightly slower. But there is one more thing that makes the Vandal so unique compared to the Phantom that we have to go over, and this is a stat that most people don't even know exists, and it's called the tap efficiency rating. To my knowledge, this stat has only been brought up in patch 0.50, which was right in the middle of the beta, and never brought up ever again, but that patch states that the Vandal's tap efficiency rating was increased from 4 to 6, while the Phantom's was increased from 3 to 4. And as it says, the higher the tap efficiency rating, the lower the rate of inaccuracy accrual, which basically just means whenever you shoot your gun again before your accuracy fully resets, you'll receive less accuracy penalty depending on how high your tap efficiency rating is. So, long story short, the Vandal can get off more tap fires and bursts in a short period of time without becoming wildly inaccurate, whereas the Phantom struggles with being able to get those extra bursts off because of the accuracy penalty. Now, I do also have to point out that the Vandal has a 0.375 gun recovery time to the Phantom's 0.35 gun recovery time, meaning you have to wait 25 milliseconds longer for your accuracy to fully reset when using the Vandal. But the whole point is that we don't want to have to wait that duration anyway. And this is one of the biggest things we see Vandal players abusing, and is the main reason we see TenZ talking about how good the Phantom is on paper, but he constantly reverts back to the Vandal over and over again because it's just better for his mechanics. Also remember, if you're serious about improving, then go to SkillCapped.com to unlock our hyper improvement system that will teach you how to win more gunfights, master your agent, and so much more. It's also backed by our rank improvement guarantee, so you really have nothing to lose. So come join over 500,000 satisfied members of SkillCapped, improve that KDA, and get the rank you've always wanted at SkillCapped.com. Link is in the description below. Alright, so let's get down to breaking down the Vandal's unique mechanics based off the way TenZ so masterfully dominates with this weapon. Now let's start off with shot pacing. TenZ has a very specific shot pace that he uses with the Vandal, and it's become second nature to him, and he does it virtually every time he shoots the gun unless he has to commit to the fight instantly. So TenZ starts off with a 2 to 3 round burst, and he then follows that up with either another 2 to 3 round burst or a full spray down, and he chooses which of these two to do depending on whether or not the enemy is firing back at him or if they're hitting him. If the enemy is already shooting or spraying at him, then he commits to the spray down. If the enemy is still caught off guard, then TenZ would rather stay light on his feet and keep bursting to pick up the kill, so he maintains as little risk as possible. If he gets peeked again, he can still have that movement. And the reason this technique is so effective is because of that tap efficiency rating we talked about, because if you were using the Phantom instead of the Vandal, that second burst would be less accurate than it is here, and that third burst would be even more less accurate and have heavy recoil and accuracy problems. But the Vandal stays somewhat close to the target and only needs slight adjustment. But there's way more to this shot pacing than it seems, and that's the movement that he incorporates with his shots as well. Watch closely as TenZ takes his first burst out on an enemy. He will almost always strafe left or right, the opposite direction of the way he was moving at first, while he gets those first few shots off. And this is because while you're changing directions, you're actually fully accurate. Valorant has inertia, which means whenever you're moving one direction and swap to move the other direction, you lose all of your speed and then regain it. And it's only once you reach a certain speed threshold that you become inaccurate again. And TenZ stops shooting before he reaches that threshold, slows back down, and gets his next shots off with another strafe or a crouch while he's actually fully accurate again. Now, if you thought you got shot while the enemy was fully running in your games, playing against TenZ is like having that happen every single time the guy kills you, because he's mastered the movement, and the movement synergizes so well with the stats of the Vandal. That's why he dominates so well with the weapon. So effectively, TenZ is able to get 3 shots off fully accurately while moving, get 3 more shots off while changing directions, and then commit to a full spray afterwards while you're left shooting at a fully moving target. And we all know how difficult that can be. But that's what makes TenZ so effective. He's the Counter-Strike pro that came over to Valorant and left Counter-Strike in the past, and he fully embraced the unique mechanics that Valorant has to offer. And that's exactly what you need to be imitating in your game to make you even more effective. But there is one more huge benefit we have to talk about when it comes to the Vandal over the Phantom, and that's the pixel peak. And there's 2 main ways to do this, and the reason we call it the pixel peak is because you want to see and let the enemy see the smallest amount of each other's head or body as possible. The first way is like Hiko shows us here, where he's playing on top of Boiler and peeks up to see the tiniest portion of Jet's head and hits that one tap, because you're basically putting yourself in a spot where it's difficult for you to pick up the kill, but it's almost impossible for the enemy to kill you, and you can fall back at any time. Think about using the Phantom in this position instead. You're not really relying on being able to get a body shot off afterwards, so hitting the head isn't going to get the kill in almost any situation when you're using the Phantom. But whenever you're using the Vandal, you can go for that quick tap to reposition and increase your odds of getting lucky and winning a round off of a quick pick that you took just at the very beginning of the round with almost no downside. And the other way to do this is to hold on to a very tight angle like the short peek on Bind. You can hold it very far back where the Vandal one-shots to the head and the Phantom doesn't, and you can go for a quick little one tap on the enemy as they peek from the right side. If you miss the shot, then no harm, no foul, just fall back to safety and play to defend the site like normal. But whenever you manage to pick up these quick kills early, it wins you rounds because it just destroys the enemy's push immediately, just like that. And this is honestly one of those things that you're going to have to play with to figure out your own skill level with. Some people are going to need a bigger gap to work with so they have more time to react, and some people are just better at anticipating based off sound. But the biggest thing is to make sure to fall back to safety as soon as you get that shot off, because the whole point is to put yourself in as little danger as possible, and give yourself that opportunity to pick up the free kill and win the round off of it. But remember, if you want to improve, win more gunfights, and get the rank you've always wanted, then check out SkillCapped.com. Link is in the description below. But did I miss anything when it comes to playing properly with the Vandal? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn those notification bells on, because we here at SkillCapped have a ton more comprehensive premium guides coming your way that you're going to want to stay up to date with so you can stay ahead of the pack. As always, I want to thank you for spending this little bit of your day with us, and I'm Notorious Dub, signing off.